I would love for a self-labeled woke person to explain to me how it is woke to support making the police more powerful than they already are. Because my understanding of woke was that, the police are systemically racist. So it's not just that individual cops are racist, it's the system itself. It's, I believe, baked into the cake. And I think there's some truth to that, okay? I'm not sure that that's properly expressed, but there is something there. I would say the best way of expressing that is the disparate impact concept. The laws are going to disparately impact the minority members of society, and I don't mean just numerical minority, although that can somewhat translate. I mean the amount of political power you have as whatever group the enforcers put you in at the time of enforcement, if you take my meaning. So you might be like a well-to-do college professor, but if you are black and you get pulled over and you get a cop that, has racist tendencies or has some kind of prejudices, even some inchoate belief is all it takes, you might suffer from all of these other laws. He might decide, oh, well, you're more likely to be doing drugs. He might run a roadside drug test on the debris in your car, and those come up positive all the time, false positives. You might spend weeks in jail just because the way you looked based on that one guy. So there is something, I think, and that has happened, and it doesn't happen just on color. I mean, there's just so many ways to marginalize people. They pull over somebody in a crappy car who is white, or who talks a certain way, who belongs to what they deem, whether they do or not, to a certain socioeconomic group. And they suffer because that's how enforcement works. Enforcement comes down to the individual, just like everything else. It's all of us making our own little decisions, and you can make statistics out of these because there's so many people. Some of us make similar decisions. So there's something to that, okay? Now, I don't believe it can be eliminated. I don't believe you can get rid of it. I don't believe you can educate it out of people. In general, like, you can get an individual and you can inform them, like they hate Frenchmen, and you can start, working with them over a period of time, and they're suddenly like, oh, well, Frenchman is just an umbrella term, and there's so many people who are French. They're not all the way. They don't all fulfill the stereotype that I put on Frenchmen, okay? You can do that with individuals, but society, you cannot eliminate it. It's not going to happen. You can't do it with your schools. You can't do it with your memes. It's not going to happen. And your idealized idea of some foreign country where there isn't racism, that's what it's an idealization. It's in your head, okay? It doesn't exist. There can be more or less, or it can be disguised by other statistics. And it's human beings who gather statistics. You can strive to eliminate your weaknesses, and you can try to get other people to lose theirs, but you will not eliminate it from quote-unquote society. So in regards to the woke question, I'm specifically talking about gun control. Gun control will make the police more powerful. The police are systemically racist. They'll have more power than they do now over minority groups, and minority groups will be a lot less likely to be armed, because believe me, there will be a price to being armed. That's how it works, okay? So if there's a fine for owning a certain weapon, well, then that means if you can pay the fine, it's legal to own that weapon, functionally, okay? If there's prison for it, well, then that means that you just have to pay a lawyer good enough to get you out of that prison, and they can do that. Now, there will probably be permitting systems, because I promise you that security guards will have weapons that are forbidden to, as woke people seem to use this term, to civilians. So woke people believe in class systems. Civilians shouldn't have assault weapons, so you believe in a class system. Hey guys, I got dogs. Hey, come on. I'm trying to be trying to lead people out of the cave here. Thank you. Um, that was arrogant. I'm sorry, but yeah, you are in a cave if you believe that. From my perspective, if you think that there are classes of people that should have certain rights, then I don't consider you woke. I consider you asleep. And if you think that government violence can solve this problem, I think you're asleep and you're dreaming, and your dreams are shitty. Okay, they're worse than the dream where you show up naked to class unprepared for your test. If you think that politicians who participate in the murder of innocent children to project their political hegemony across the globe, if you think those pieces of filth can solve the problem of individuals who commit murder, then you're fucking nuts. I don't. That's not an adult concept. That's childish, and not cool, not childlike. Like, playing Dungeons and Dragons, or picking up sticks and pretending they're guns and playing war, not having war. Childlike is cool. Childish is fucking grotesque. Anyway, if I could get one woke person to explain to me how it is that, hey, I'm gonna make these. Y'all think you're gonna make these racist police more powerful, and then they're going to behave better. Suddenly they're not going to kick in doors and shoot more Breonna Taylors. They're not going to beat some kid to death in the street for running from them after a traffic stop. They're suddenly not going to do that when they have definite material superiority. Here's what I think, and this is very not generous, since most woke people I know are white. I think y'all don't care about gun owners. They're not your people. It's defined by you. Okay, I'm not like that. You woke people are my people because you're people. I want you to be safe, but I'm not willing to endorse violence to accomplish that. Okay, and by violence, I'm peculiar use of it, I admit. I mean initiation of violence. I don't mean defensive violence. And no, it is not defensive violence to have your neighbor attacked because he owns a gun that's a certain shape. That's not defensive violence. If he's been threatening you and you go try to stop him, yes, that's defensive violence. But prior restraint is not defensive violence. The drug war is not defensive violence. Okay, and you might be on board with that. Immigration control is not defensive violence. Okay. To go back to it, I don't script these, as you know. I think that you don't feel you'll be threatened by the gun control. I think you don't care about all of the people who will be affected, and you believe in disparate impact suddenly until it comes to guns. Then you suddenly don't believe in disparate impact. It will affect these minority groups that you're supposedly the guiding light for, that you're the white savior. Y'all are gonna save them, and then suddenly, oh yeah, with gun control, it's just a bunch of white rednecks and hicks. See, the advocacy of gun control from white liberal woke people shows me that y'all don't know shit. Y'all are so sheltered. It's unbelievable. You get your opinion of these minority groups from the political leaders that show up on the TV. That's the extent of your knowledge. You're in an ivory tower. And I don't think you give a shit. I think it's all performance. I'm being judgmental here, but I feel judgmental because I'm sick of y'all. And this is the group, this ideology that you have. You're going to save the fucking world through political violence, and you're not even going to acknowledge the political violence. The only political violence you acknowledge is that which your enemy, who you're really allied with, commits. So explain to me how it's woke to make the systemically racist government more powerful. take your time. You can't do it. You're full of shit. You don't care. You're just a bunch of white supremacists who dress your racism up in nice language. You're as disgusting as the KKK, and you might even cause more damage. You're a Trojan horse. And I hope that people wake up before you sons of bitches get what you want, because it's going to be a fucking hellscape.